As glamorous as some of us may make being a flight attendant be, it is not always that glamorous. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. Of course, you get to travel around the world depending on which airline you work for. However, this job is not always easy. It gets difficult. It gets hard, just like every other job. But what makes our struggle a little unique is because of how unique our job is. In today's video, I will be sharing some things to consider, especially if you're currently a flight attendant, regardless of how long you've been flying and you're actually considering quitting.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Priscilla. I am a Seattle-based flight attendant working with a major US airline company. If you're new here, subscribe, be part of the family, support your girl. But today I will be talking about being a flight attendant, how difficult it gets, and once you get to the point of quitting, just consider these factors or these things that I'm going to talk about in today's video before you do so. The first thing for me is that you've invested too much time. Becoming a flight attendant, this career is not one of those jobs where you just go through the application process online, you submit your resume, you probably do like one assessment online, then you do a video interview, then you do an in-person interview, and it's over. And then you get the job and then you're good to go. This career is particularly different. You do go through the hiring process, you do apply, you submit your resume, you do some online assessments, you do a video interview if your airline has that. Then you go for an event day or a face-to-face event where you also get assessed, interact with other applicants, and then you go through the hiring process. But even at that juncture, if you do get the offer you get is actually a conditional job offer. It is not guaranteed. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're now a flight attendant. There's another major part to the hiring process where you have to go through flight attendant training. And that's where, for me, the concern comes in, because you invest all that time going through the hiring process. Then you have to spend weeks and days in training. Having gone through all that, spent all that time, investing all that time and money because training is not paid, just to get to the point where you're on the line and then it becomes difficult and you quit. It is difficult, and not everybody who's a flight attendant is even currently earning a livable income or wage. So it's one of those things where I get the difficulty of it, but I also feel on one hand that if you do get to the point where you feel like you have to give up or throw in the towel, consider the time you invested in getting there and see if there's any other thing you can do if you've exhausted all your options before you actually throw in the towel. The second thing that I do want to address also, it is true that things are hard at first and you're about to start a job that you're not used to. The amount of flights that you work in a day as a flight attendant is possibly going to be more than you ever have flown in years or even in a year. So it's one of those things where you need time for your body and your mind to adjust and adapt to the whole process. And in that meantime, you're not able to fly a lot. And even if you did want to fly a lot, there's so many factors that do impede that process or make it difficult, because you will get tired, you will get burnt out. So it is hard at first, and especially when you're junior, your income is not as high as somebody that has been in the industry longer than you have. So essentially what happens is that you end up in a situation whereby you're forced to fly more, and it can be stressful, it can be hard. If you're commuting, you're still trying to adapt to commuting, trying to figure things out, see how it works. You're probably junior, so you probably can't get on the flights that you want to get on because you're too junior. It's just one of those things where it is hard in general. Income-wise, work-wise, dealing with the job as a whole can be difficult. But I will say, do not quit. If you do get to the point where you do want to quit, you have to make sure that you've done all you can to survive this. Understanding that it's going to be difficult early on at least gives you an idea of what to expect, so you set your expectations realistically. The third thing that I do want to say is, overall, things do get better in the later years. So knowing that you're struggling now and things are hard now, you should also have that hope and know that things will get better as the years go by. As you become more senior, you have the ability to get the trips that you want. Your pay also goes up, which I'm going to talk about in the next point. So it's one of those things where although you can see on one hand how hard it is now and how it is a struggle for you, on the other hand, you also can see how good it can get based on the people that have done it before you. So just keep your eye on that, and that should be a motivating factor to at least help you get through that phase of wanting to quit. The pay gets better. This job is set up such that every year you do get a pay increase until you get to the point where you cap out, right? Which is 12 years for us. However, when you're starting off, ours is high, but if you look at it realistically, it's still not good enough, because based on the amount of time that we spent away and the compensation that we get, it doesn't really balance compared to somebody who's more senior. But the pay gets better. So although it might be hard now, you might be going through a lot of financial stress and discomfort right now, it does get better over the years. And what I will say is that in that moment, if you're looking for ways and means to survive financially, consider supplementing your income with other activities. So if you know that flying a lot takes a toll on you, then maybe you should consider flying a very minimal hours and then doing something else on the side just to supplement your income and to keep you going until you get to the point where this job is able to sustain you fully. So just hold on until you get to that point so you can reap the benefit of all the time that and the money that you've invested in getting to this point or getting to this point of this career. One factor also that I want you to consider if you're planning on quitting because things are really hard, it might be difficult coming back. For this industry is particularly very unique and different. It takes a lot more time and effort, and there's a whole structure and timing for when applications open, when they're hiring again, and even if you're even gonna be able to get back with the airline that you used to be with. So imagine leaving after going through all this process and then trying to come back, having to go through all that hassle just to do this again. Plus, if you do come back, I believe your seniority starts all over again. So it's not like you're gonna keep whatever seniority you had when you quit. So you're gonna start all the way at the bottom again. So why not think of it this way? If leaving and maybe changing your mind and deciding to come back is gonna reset everything, why don't you wait out the storm now and just wait it out long enough to be able to enjoy the benefit once you go past the storm that you're experiencing right now. When things go bad, it gets bad real fast, and especially when you're new and you have so much going on, you can literally want to quit like the first day you go on your first trip. That's how bad it is. So it's one of those things where it really tests your patience, your perseverance, and your ability to hold on during difficult times, because it really tests you. It's not unusual for you to be feeling the way you're feeling, but I'm just here to tell you that, or to encourage you and inspire you to know that it does get better. It might potentially get better. Whatever difficulty you're feeling in the moment, it's not going to remain the same forever. You do have the potential or the ability to make things better. And coming back might be difficult if you quit now. Being able to reapply later on and come back, chances are that you might not get it then. Lastly, I actually got this point or this idea from a fellow flight attendant who also wanted to quit. She was ready to quit, like literally just say bye-bye to everybody and go. And she was, I believe, one of my subscribers, I think. She actually watched my video while she was going through the process. She hated it so much the first few weeks and she was ready to quit. She actually decided to take a vacation. She took a trip to, I think, Cancun, somewhere tropical. And fortunately for her, the other flight attendants or the other crew members that were working the flight, she got to spend time with them. And they actually encouraged her to just wait it out. And when I was talking to her, it was after she had gone through that phase. And now she was enjoying it much more than how she felt when she started on. That actually inspired this video, because I know that I talk about how to become a flight attendant, my journey, things you can do when it comes to bidding, your schedule. But I feel like I've never necessarily talked about people quitting and it being difficult and like the nitty-gritty of how hard this job can be. So I say all this to say that if you're at the point where you're considering quitting because things are getting hard, crew scheduling is stressing you out, being on reserve is giving you anxiety issues, the pay is not paying the way it should, just take a moment, take a break if you have to in the example that I gave. The thing about this job is that even if it's getting hard, there is the potential or the ability to be able to get rid of your trips or things on your schedule just to make time for you. It might not always work out, but at least that ability is there. So there's always a way out. And also, to sum it all up, if you need to talk to a fellow flight attendant, reach out to somebody, because in her case, talking to the other crew members was enough to get her mindset together, and she's still here. I got to work with her, and I would have hated it if I had seen her at some point and she told me that she quit. Keep that in mind on your journey to become a flight attendant. If you're new and you haven't and you're thinking of becoming one, it's not always rosy. It's not going to be perfect. So set realistic expectations as you're coming in and be prepared for the worst case scenario. If you do have any concerns or thoughts to share about this video, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.